Yes, 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 it's Hi Polska, where every week we talk to foreigners that are working in Polish startups. We hear the dramas, we hear the tales, we hear the stories, the places they love, the people they've met, and along the way we find out more about the country of Poland and the exciting startup scene here. So let's roll with this one. Okay, so in the studio is Leah Kempele, did I say that right? The Chief Customer Success Officer at Shoplo. I can't believe I got your title right. You're not a wizard.
I'm not.
You're not a hacker.
I'm not.
It's an officer at the end of it.
Exactly.
And we talked a little bit about your story before we came on the show. But before we get to the story of Shoplo and how you got to Poland, I'm going to go with our quick fire round. Favourite place in Poland?
Warsaw.
A favourite place in Warsaw?
Plan B.
Plan B. That's a club. Have you got? Do you remember any stories?
I live just next door, so it's one of my favorite places.
Okay,
yeah.
the noise pollution from all those drinking people doesn't get you away. Okay, favourite food? Polish, obviously.
Oh, pierogi?
With?
The one with mushrooms.
Interesting. Yeah. Favourite place outside Warsaw?
Oh, I'm gonna have to say Bieszczady, although I haven't been yet, but my goal is to get there.
You obviously have a vivid imagination there because you've been there. Okay, best moment in Poland so far?
Oh, wow. Best moment in Poland must have been when I first got down to the riverside in a summer day when I saw all the clubs down there.
And yet she still likes Plan B. Pick the bones out of that one anytime you like. All right, so Chief Customer Success Officer. What does that mean?
That's a really good question. I don't really know how to answer that. Basically, I think at this point in this company, it means the focus has been on changing the mentality from transactional customer support into more relationship building, like long-term building customer relations with the customers. So basically, discussing or kind of looking at how do we shift the mentality in the company of not only looking at when customers reach us, but kind of proactively think about why would they come in contact with us, how can we support them to kind of make sure that they reach their goals. Because in this business, as this is a software company selling a online platform where people can build their stores, the aim is that these people stay on as long as they can make their dreams come true. So we kind of have to make sure that we understand their dreams, how do they interpret success, and how do we make sure that they get there.
Do you know what? I actually mixed my questions up because the logical question would have been to ask Leah what Shoplo is and then to explain what her role is within that. So I apologise, Leah, but in my defence, we wanted to have coffee, but there was only one coffee in the entire building and I had to give it to Leah, so I haven't got that. So Leah, imagine I am a very rich, very elegant and extremely well-financed investor and you happen to get in the lift with me and the lift will last about 30 to 60 seconds. Sell me Shoplo.
Oh, the elevator pitch. So imagine you can have a tool that is so simple, so anybody can be inspired enough to have a dream of actually building their own business. So whether you are really good at knitting socks, through our tool you can actually make a business out of that. Or if you have really good business partners in a country and you are buying t-shirts really cheaply and you design them and you want to build a long-lasting brand that can be seen all over the world, we can help you with building a platform for that.
So, frankly speaking, I'll just get my checkbook out and finance that straight away. I'll be in contact by email. Yeah. Okay, so this is focused more towards the smaller players, you know, like independent,
small and
medium
medium
Etsy
size
type people. Okay, so I'm a producer of socks. My socks are quite famous for lots of different reasons, and I may be selling on like one or two platforms, but when I go to Shoplo I'm getting an all-in-one software as a service is going to enable me to sell on multiple different platforms and
exactly
and just manage all of the orders and that kind of thing. You know? So presumably solving a lot of problems for a small producer of anything.
Exactly. So you can absolutely build your store through our platform, but we also have the multi-channel tool where you can then inventory manage several channels through one place. So you would save time in doing that.
Okay. Well, tell me here, does Chief? Now would be the logical time to mention. So obviously there's like company, there's stuff you can talk about, stuff you can't talk about for very sensible business reasons. But you've been within Shoplo for about a year. Maybe let's do the chronological thing. So you were actually working in mostly corporate roles, if I remember rightly, up until you joined Shoplo. So there's a good corporate to startup story, which I can't resist trying to get out of there. Had you had enough?
No, I would say that the corporation that I came from I wouldn't say that it's a super corporate. It's a very vibrant type of international, funny type of corporation. However, I had been with that company for 7.5 years and already back home in Sweden, and that's why I moved over here. But then I got in contact with Patrick, one of the co-founders of this company, and we kind of talked for a year. And I had no idea what was expected. I have never worked in software. I have never been in a startup. But I also figured if I'm ever going to take the chance, then why not now? So kind of jumped ship and landed here. So yesterday I had my first anniversary at Shoplo.
Oh wow, wow, that's an awesome moment. Well, that's why you deserve the coffee, and I don't.
Yeah.
So you've been there a year, and looking back at that year, what do you think you've learned about software as a service, about the company, about yourself?
I would say, well, I've learned a lot, definitely about myself, how I enjoy kind of having the right amount of discomfort in life, going into the office not really knowing what you're supposed to do but still managing, not really always knowing if what you've done at the end of the day has been 100% beneficial or if you've met targets, but kind of just having this belief that you are at the end of the day helping a customer somewhere or a person to fulfill their dreams. So that's really what I've learned about myself, as in what kind of drives me as a person. Software as a service, coming from a totally different type of background, I've never worked with this sort of type of technology, so kind of getting into that, and I would say that I'm still pretty far away from understanding like all the possibilities in the product. But also not letting that scare you, but to understand that to always, I think that in some technological companies, it can also be there can also be a lot of focus on a technology, and at the end of the day, there's a risk that you forget the customer, because the customer may not care at all about the technology, only about the benefit. So you need that voice kind of saying, okay, but I don't care about the technology, how this is at the end of the day. Get a customer saying, okay, great, that's fantastic, that's what I want. So software as a service, of course, I think is really interesting time to kind of learn that, since this is really where we're going in the world. Like, this is how we're going to conduct business and whatever services we have when it comes to just subscriptions. So here I think what I have focused a lot about is this kind of how do we make sure that the customer is willing to kind of, or sees benefits enough to stay on and pay for coming months, or even taking the risk of paying for a year for this service.
This is such a classic. Company gets so fixated on acquisition that they pay lip service to retention, because otherwise, the product would just fall apart. But they just don't have the bandwidth in their minds. And there's so many other things. There's product development, there's HR issues, accountancy. It all drags on you, especially from a founder's point of view, that you miss all the hidden fruits that are there. So have you guys had any kind of like things that you in particular are proud about achieving over the course of the last year for the company?
So what we have focused on is to make sure that customers kind of understand what they could be doing. We notice that a lot of people start up their stores, they do a great design, and then they think that that's going to kind of run on its own. So kind of managing expectations has been, like, we've created a retention course where we are kind of rough saying that it takes a lot of work getting where you want to get. Do you know your targets? Maybe we can create a target together.
Now, just to be absolutely clear, you're probably watching this thinking, duh, that's obvious. And yet, I would say this is probably one of the most common problems, especially with Polish software as a service companies. And I've seen it everywhere, frankly speaking. There's big players that don't get this right. So listen up, because Leah's going to give you some mad facts. So, you know, again, for companies on limited budgets, about what's the low-hanging fruit that you can do within that field of education? What do you think has been most effective for you guys? Is it videos that help those customers understand those things? Blogs? You know, any advice you give to somebody who's facing a similar problem?
Yeah, so we have kind of sent out emails to people where we've kind of analyzed, okay, so these people are at the level of where we notice that they don't make possibly the amount of orders where we see that they would make ends meet kind of to cover the subscription costs. So we've sent them links to this retention course where you have like some of the basic steps of like think about these things to get this up and running. We've also done analysis of looking at, okay, so we do see that people that have connected their stores to Instagram, that have really good pictures, these are people that are more successful. So we did create an Instagram course of just like how do you take good pictures, how do you manage Instagram content in a good way. And we did notice that these are people that double their order amounts in their stores. So it really came down to looking at customer batches and seeing, okay, so do we see these trends that these people stay on? What are these people doing? And then looking at, and actually then spreading that information to the other customers, saying that, okay, so people in your industry, selling shoes or fashion accessories, we notice that people that log into the tool and maintain their store 4 times per day are more successful than the ones that log in 2-3 times per week. So really connecting numbers to be able to build that case. So it comes down to a lot of education, and that needs to be very personalized and relevant so that you don't talk to people who are possibly selling educational material. Don't talk to them in the same way that you would talk to the people that are selling fashion accessories.
What about the Shoplo customer base? Where are they from right now? And what are your mechanisms for listening, getting feedback from them? You know, how do they react to that? You strike me as quite an analytical person. So maybe you like data. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let's find out.
You're right. I like data.
Boom.
Suck at numbers, but I like looking at them. I don't calculate them myself.
Well, the good thing about data is you can choose to look at it any way you like and make
exactly.
it so. You know.
So a majority of our customers are definitely from Poland. We have a little bit in Europe, a few in Central Europe, England, few in America, but absolute majority in Poland.
Yeah. And in terms of listening to them, getting feedback from them, has that been super important for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So that, of course, me not speaking Polish yet very well. So what I do like to do is I send out questionnaires to people and just asking them, is it okay if I give you a ring and talk about, especially people that I see can be in the state of possibly churning. So we do that, and since we have a fairly controlled amount of customers, not too many, our CEO does twice a year send out a sort of like Net Promoter Score survey where he kind of reaches out on a personal level also to many of the customers and just asks, because we are on some of them on a first name basis and like, hey, can I give you a call and chat. We have some of the customers that we just get into the office, grab a coffee, talk about like, okay, so what are your next steps? How can we support you in this? What is missing? How does your market look overall in this industry when it comes to online business and so on?
All right, so is there any aspect of the business, any successes, things that you've learnt this year that you'd like to talk about? Because I'm going to get on to cross-cultural challenges now. Anything else?
Not that I can think of right now.
Maybe it's going to come back. Maybe we can just swap around again. Again, remember that I haven't had a coffee. Okay, so you came into the business coming from a relatively corporate environment, lots of structures, lots of silos, lots of procedures, applications, that kind of thing. Probably to a freewheeling place where structure didn't exist so much. Was that a challenge for you, professionally speaking? And how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I would say that it was definitely a challenge in the sense of coming from an environment where people were kind of machine-like moving towards one thing, not in any perfect way, but moving towards something, and then coming to an organization where there are definitely, even if it's a small one, I would say that silos absolutely exist, but where people were very much like, okay, this seems like a cool idea, let's try this thing. Which is something that I think is fantastic, this willingness and eagerness to try new things. I think that what is important in startups or small companies overall is that without killing the vibrancy of wanting to do new things, it's very, very important that there is an alignment. Because if you have people or departments or squad or tribes or whatever you want to call them doing their thing, it very quickly becomes people just running toward different directions, and then alignment and strategy is going to be really, really hard.
Which is a real killer in a small business, obviously. Okay, so you'd already been in Poland before, but this is your first time working probably in a small company, I think,
Yes.
in Poland. Big, small, to big difference. Swedish, Polish working environments probably quite different as well. I have openly criticised Polish business practice, so it's okay to talk about the things you like and don't like. What didn't you like about working with Poles? Not naming anyone specifically, obviously, just in general.
So I would actually say that the company that I work at now it almost feels less Polish than the corporation that I came from. Although it is a Swedish company, I was working at the Polish office, which is a global section, but still majority of them are Polish. So what I've noticed in the difference with working with Polish people and Swedish people is that you're often met with silence when you're asking for input or feedback. There can often be a sense of, oh, but this is my job description, so this is what I do.
Yes.
And I can understand that, but for me then, coming from a background where I'll put my fingers in everything that I'm allowed to touch and talk about, it becomes challenging.
It's like, what word is about to come out here?
Very diplomatic. It becomes challenging trying to create a team environment where everybody feels involved, or business plans where everybody is involved, when you're asking the question but not getting too much input.
Yes.
But then I've noticed that you can also ask the question in very many different ways. Okay, so maybe having a discussion in a meeting room in front of everybody is not the best way in this culture to get feedback. Maybe sending out an email or having individual chats with people is a better way of getting people to talk.
Okay, so now imagine that I'm a foreign startup guy, and I'm looking at Poland as maybe a place I want to relocate my business to, or I don't know, get a developer team together, etc. Sell me Poland as a place to work and do business in.
I think that people are reliable. They get, I think that Polish employees they really get the job done. I think that they're great in that sense. Oh wow, I don't know.
Reliable? People who get the job done? I'm sold.
I also must say that I enjoy Polish sense of humor very much, so I do like working with Polish people. I think that comes from my Finnish side. The Polish sense of kind of raw humor.
The Finnish sense of humor is extremely specific.
It is.
Like the driest of dry.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that also what I do enjoy very much in the Polish like company culture, what I've noticed is that it takes time before they trust you, because you kind of have to prove yourself. But once you have done that, they will believe in you, and they will trust you, and they will work with you. So it's just I think a cultural difference if you would work with Americans, where people are very quickly saying, maybe not even work, but in the culture of Americans, where people would possibly say, oh, I love you very quickly, or be very happy to kind of spend time with you. Polish people, from my perspective being a Swede, it feels a little bit more genuine, like, you have to prove yourself to me first, and once you have, we'll be friends.
That is such a good answer. They always say how happy they are to see people. I think, but you don't know each other yet. How do you know what it's going to be like? Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay, what's coming up for you? What if you could like see Leah now in 1 year's time and say like, this is the thing I most want to nail within Shoplo? What would it be?
Create. I think right now this year has been product focused. So where are we? What type of products do we want to have in the company? I think that now we're kind of settling that down. So I think that next year is going to really be about focusing on a lot on the people in the company. Okay, so how do we want to develop these people? We have fantastic people that have been there since day one, and now it really comes to making sure that to put these people in the right places, make sure that they have development plans that they can really stay on and feel challenged for with the future of this company. So right now it's creating a clear strategy and then making sure that we have the right people on the right spots.
Well, I would like to be working with Leah because she sounds like the kind of person who can make that happen. Leah, thank you so much for joining us on the most pleasant couch of the time to sit on. I hope you enjoyed that one coffee that we had. Remember, on High Polska, what we're doing is building the biggest compendium of information on foreign people who've come to Poland, set up their own businesses, joined businesses, making things happen, experiencing the country for the first time, growing roots, falling in love, going to Plan B. I can't believe you didn't say the Riverfront is the favourite place. I would say Riverfront versus Plan B. I suppose it's on your doorstep, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, the bistro next door. Are
I mean, you go there because you have to, but I would say service is questionable.
It is a little bit questionable. Oh, we could have talked about that, but that's a subject for another day. So remember, if you like this episode, make sure you send it on. Who should you send it on to? People who are interested in doing business in Poland, people who are already doing business in Poland, and if you would like to be on this incredibly comfortable sofa couch, then you can always get in contact with us as well. So share us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Steemit, and wherever else you happen to find us. It's the end of the episode. It's Bye Polska. Pow!